Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 25. The sound of wood being split echoed off the side of the home as Cole approached. Surrounded by a pile of wood chips, Chappie looked up, wiping the sweat off his brow. Are we going to need all this wood, Virgis? Isn't Arizona in the desert? It is, but this desert is cold in the winter, Cole corrected, inspecting Chappie's progress. Chappie smiled, noticing the approving nod that Cole gave his pile. Nothing beats the smell of fresh cut wood. Sure would be nice to have a splitter, though. Cole looked at Chappie confused. Correcting him, Cole commented, "We do have a splitter." Chappie looked around curiously, asking, "Where?" Cole replied, looking Chappie dead in the eyes. "I'm staring at him." Shaking his head at his own gullibility, Chappie replied sarcastically, "Ha ha, very funny, Virgis." Chuckling at his friend, Cole asked, "I'm going to grab a beer. You want one?" "Does a bear wipe his ass with a fluffy white rabbit?" Cole left Chappie smashing through the logs and entered the quiet of the home. Checking the meters on the solar battery system, he was satisfied with the performance and headed down the stairs to grab more beer off the shelf. "Running too low already," he mumbled, before going back up the stairs to the kitchen. As he entered the room, the sound of feet on the front stairs tantalized his ear. Watching the doorknob turn and open, Cole smiled as Monroe entered. "Hey, Virgis," Monroe greeted him. Cole continued moving towards the fridge, asking, "How did the training go?" "It's going fine," Monroe replied, but his voice sounded troubled by something. "Then what's wrong?" Cole asked as he put the warm beer in the fridge and grabbed 2 cold ones. "You want one?" "Yeah," Monroe replied, taking the beer from Cole. He opened it, leaning against the counter. As he drank, he explained, "I stopped by the hardware store after we were done with today's session." "To visit with Ginger?" Cole inquired. Monroe looked offended by his suggestion, replying quickly, "No, I was checking in with Barry." "Isn't Al your supervisor?" Cole pressed. "He is, but Al was out on patrol, so I checked in with Barry instead." Cole looked at him curiously. "You were at the front gate today, right?" "Yeah." "When does the gate guard shift if there's a morning scout crew out?" Monroe rolled his eyes, admitting, "When the crew comes in." "Fine, Mr. Master Interrogator. You caught me. I went to see Ginger, but ran into Barry instead. The town is in serious need of supplies, Virgis." "What do you want me to do about it?" Cole asked, quickly jumping on the defensive. Changing the subject, he declared, "Come on, Chappie's out back, waiting on this beer." Walking towards the noise of Chappie's pounding, Monroe asked Cole, "You're seriously just going to hide in this hole?" Walking out the door, Cole snapped, "This is my home, Monroe. And this is the longest you've ever stayed here. Come on, it's time to go to battle," Monroe argued. "Here, Chappie," Cole mumbled as he handed Chappie the beer. His face furrowed with confusion. Chappie asked, "What the hell are you two fussing about?" "Monroe wants to go on a trip to get supplies," Cole answered, drinking from his beer. "Let's go," Chappie declared with a smile. His arm pumped energetically. "We have to make sure things around here stay secure," Cole replied, staring at the horizon. "Whatever you need to tell yourself," Monroe countered. "What do you mean?" Cole asked, flipping back around angrily. "He means you've been moping around like a dog licking his wounds," Chappie added. "Virgis, this isn't you. You gotta get back out in it, my friend," Monroe encouraged. Cole paused briefly, turning back to look at the horizon. I can't believe how quickly everything deteriorated. He drank from his beer, thinking about his next words. "You saw how they treated those people? The same citizens I fought overseas for?" Cole turned back around to look at them with a passionate look on his face. "They're no different now than they were then." "You're not doing a lick of good here, sticking your head in a hole," Chappie assured him. Monroe approached, putting his hand on Cole's shoulder. "Let's go help with the caravan. The town needs these supplies, and Al is not trained to handle this operation. Cole looked up with watery eyes. Are you sure you two want to get wrapped back up with this? Whether we like it or not, there's no escaping it, Virgis. We might as well kick a little ass while we still can, Chappie encouraged. Cole looked at Monroe. What about you? I told you how I feel about it, sir, Monroe stated. Cole took a deep breath, declaring, let's do it. Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 422, season 15, episode 25. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Hey, chin's up, yo.
Yeah, you kind of nailed it in the green room. You're like, what's up with this chapter? Virgis is just moping around the whole time. Yeah.
He'll be doing that domesticated thing.
Yeah.
He's out there.
He's just watching Chappie do it, I think. He's just moping around. But, yeah, like I said, this one didn't really fit in with the one before it or after it. And I think it's kind of important because so much of Virgis's character is like this internalized guy, right? And he really doesn't know like which way to go at this point. And I mean, I can't imagine that there's a law enforcement officer or a military personnel person that wouldn't be feeling the same kind of ethical, wrestle when you're given these kinds of crazy orders. I know that during some of the COVID lockdowns, I have lots of friends who are military and police officers, and, they're like, no, I'm not going to be like doing that, like arresting people for, not wearing a mask or something stupid like that, So in this situation, I'd imagine that it would be a lot of the same.
I mean, they're people too. I mean, I knew people in the armed forces that were like, no jabs allowed, and
right?
Trying to deal with that. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
people too.
And with the lockdowns getting all extreme, the powers that be basically were asking them to do some ethically questionable things, and and you're going to lose your job over it. That's like,
I know.
When it comes,
and then
like,
so it's like, what do you do about your family and
exactly
everything, and the bills?
Yeah,
and you're on the hook for mortgages and car payments and all this other crap.
You put all this training, all this life into being that, helping people, doing the right thing, and then you're asked to do a questionable thing, and you're just going to walk away from it all. Yeah, that's really, Virgis's story a lot, especially here at the beginning. Is he couldn't do it. Obviously, he walked away from the whole deal. So yeah, and in the Pine Springs, Peach Springs, from Peach Springs. I got two something Springs cities in my book series. So Pine Spring obviously comes up a lot later, but in the Peach Springs saga, it's really about an examination of what happens when the tap turns off.
Yep.
Right? So all of everything that we know is on demand, literally on demand. What they've done with our food supply in the last 50 years has been to just nationalize it, to
globalize it,
right?
I mean, you can have like whatever quote unquote fresh fruit you want any time of the year, right?
Right.
Because it's not just what's being grown in your neighborhood, it's what's being grown around the world that they can transport in.
Right. And imagine us like when we go into the store and it's like, oh, I can't buy any grapes. What? Like what where am I living?
February? And
yeah.
I can't have grapes on the vine?
Yeah. I mean, and so much of it has just been set up that way. As somebody who's always been kind of in that environment, it's so scary that like, oh my gosh, we would have to, we would only eat maybe a potato for dinner.
Yeah.
Man, I think America's going to have a rude awakening. I know I would. You know.
Do you see the rationing? Because when we were thinking about our show topic, I pulled up the World War II museum down in Louisiana, and it was talking about rationing. Like tires were one of the first things to get rationed.
Yes.
And unless you were like what they consider essential personnel, like a cop or a doctor or something, you couldn't get tires, or like even farmers had to get approved for tires on their tractors. They couldn't just go out and buy a new set of tires.
Well, I was thinking
Crazy.
about that one's because of we used to literally use rubber from the rubber trees,
Yeah.
right? And then World War II was actually a big, fueler of figuring out how to make the artificial rubber.
Yeah.
So it comes back to the necessity as the driver of innovation, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, amen, the American spirit, alive and kicking, you know?
Right, now we have pleather, right? Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, pleather. Pleather. Plethora of pleather. Uh-oh. That was an audible laugh on the radio. No. So, yeah. So I thought that would be a cool show topic, is to kind of examine like, okay, so we're all like, oh, we're going to be prepared. We're going to be ready to go. We're going to, have our homestead and whatnot. And kudos to all of us for doing that, because at least we're like a couple steps ahead of the wave, But even if you have a homestead out in the middle of nowhere, how long do you think it would take people to overwhelm you once that supply tap is turned off in the city?
Depends on where you're at.
Right? I know. And that's the truth of it right there. Like, people will literally...
And how self-sufficient are you? Because even self-sufficient people, how many times you go into town a week or a month?
Right.
No?
Yeah. Well, I'm living the urban dream right now.
Urban dream.
Yeah. So for us, it's like...
But this made me think when I pulled it up, it's like I've got end of life tires on my tractor. It's like, should I be replacing those like now?
Right.
Not getting the last drop of goodness out of them.
Yeah.
Like,
or at least having that backup there.
Yeah.
And look, oil, the grease, all that stuff.
Yeah, I did that. I stockpiled some.
Right.
Like,
so
oils and stuff. Yeah.
I don't think you want to be using animal fat and replace. I mean, if you had to, you got to. But like, I bet it's not the greatest thing for a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So no, those are all like really, really important things.
Yeah.
And basically, like, maybe you've got, like you say, so many people, even in the rural areas, once a week you're going into town for stuff.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, so many homesteads that are like 100%. I could make it for 50 years without going anywhere.
Right. And do the homesteads, do they have a tractor? Do they have a chainsaw? Do they have like all these other items that have wearable items, right?
Yeah.
So are there belts? Are there chains? Are there, blades? Are all this stuff that you don't make on property?
Right. Yeah. And can you make those on property? And even talking about like food preservation, that brought me around to the jars, like, okay, where's the jars? Where do you get more jars once you run out?
Right. And the lids, right? The
Yeah.
whole thing about the lids and the...
Yeah, and then I guess some of the freeze dryers, they require like a lot of oil and stuff to make them run and whatnot.
Yep.
And I'm like, so...
And energy.
Yeah. Where's the sustain... Even if you had like a Jenny, okay, so you have a solar Jenny. Like, where's the long-term sustainability of that? It'd be more important, to learn to... I guess, like they used to do in the little house on Plum Creek, or they used to do them in the sun and whatnot. I think that's where our thought process needs to be going. I say that just because I truly believe that there is a cycle that we are going through on our planet. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the natural cycle of this planet, and it's going to turn upside down for a little bit, and we're going to go through a major event with our planet where certain sections of lands are going to go up, certain ones are going to go down. There's going to be huge tsunamis. There's going to be some turmoil on this planet. And power is not going to be the end all be all. Like, even if we don't get hit with the CME, which I can tell you probably like 98% chance we're going to, because of the way our shield is weakening down. But even if we didn't, would that still be as easily accessible as what it is now with all the destruction that's going on? I mean, just look around our planet. Right now, there's so many crazy, catastrophic stuff happening all the time that it's not going to slow down anytime soon. So what do? We prepare, we pray, and we prepare. And we pray more. But we talk a lot about food, right? And that's all well and good. It's obviously very important. Supporting your local growers, obviously very important. Do you have like a local bakery anywhere near you? Anybody baking anymore?
Actually, this is kind of funny. One of those video arcade gambling casino whatever places, they played a little like slot machines and stuff.
Yeah.
One of those just went out of business. Well, I think there's some laws changed and it got shut down.
Okay.
And I just noticed last week when I was coming back from town that soon to be a bakery.
There you go.
The sign was just out this week. I was like, cause I didn't feel bad, but I almost felt bad for the other business, the arcade business, because it's like they just opened and within 6 months they got shut down. They did their due diligence to figure out upcoming laws or laws that were being voted on, because it was really quick. They didn't even.
There's where that old SWOT analysis comes in.
Yeah,
Andy.
right. So it laid dormant for like a year, and I just saw a sign up saying "Coming Soon Bakery." So, yep, I have a bakery coming soon.
That's very cool. Yeah, because
and
bakeries.
It's like 5 minutes outside. So it's not like in a downtown district. It's like outside of town.
Yeah, like more easily accessible. You don't have to go into like the city to get there.
Yeah, well, I don't go into the city anymore.
Oh, well, I don't either if I can avoid it, for sure. Dallas is crazy. There's like 8 highways on top of each other. It freaks me out. So, but my point is, like, there used to be bakeries, and like every town had one.
That was like one of the hub businesses, right?
Exactly.
The butcher, the bakery, the candlestick maker.
Right? But like with, Nabisco, all the big companies. And then, have you ever watched the show on History Channel? It's like called The Food That Built America.
No.
You should really check it out. It's really cool. And it tells the stories of how like Nabisco, how McDonald's, how these things like were created, and kind of the competition wars and stuff that got them to where they are. And the plain and simple is like the Nabisco started buying up all of these bakeries and figuring out that they could like own all the bakeries. And then from that point, they started figuring out like how to make the shelf life of the product longer.
Yeah.
So that they could have just a few bakeries in the country making all of the product for all of the country. That way,
because it used to be like the hot bread now, right? Or like
Yeah.
Krispy Kreme donuts. Hot now, when the sign was on, you get your donuts.
Right. Exactly. Like the bread's getting cooked.
Yeah.
But now,
They get
and
the
like,
day old bread, right? On sale.
yeah, exactly. And like, that's just where I was going. If you make your own bread, how long does that last?
Yeah.
It doesn't last very long at all.
Because I eat it all.
Yeah, they used to literally buy it by the slice. That's why it's like the best thing since sliced bread. Because you didn't have to buy the whole loaf and have half of it go bad. You could just buy the slices that you need.
But like bread pudding and croutons and all that stuff came into play. Because how do you use it? You can't just throw it out.
Breadcrumbs.
Yep.
Yeah. And so at the same time as we were like innovating to figure this out, like think of what it did to our food supply and how many chemicals we're now ingesting that preserve the shelf life of the food that we're eating.
Yep.
So
it built the medical business, the medical industry that we have now.
yes.
Because you had to treat all these ailments that were generated from the poor food.
From the food, yeah. And basically it was all in an effort to extend shelf life so that you could ship your product further and have it sit on the shelf longer.
Mm-hmm. Like a good old Twinkie.
Like a good old Twinkie. Nuclear blast ain't taking that thing down. I love Zombieland. It's the best.
Oh,
I don't even like zombies, but Zombieland.
They played that. I don't think you were there at camp one year. They played that movie for movie night.
Uh-huh.
And Rick and Jade handed out boxes of Twinkies.
Nice.
Oh man, that was awesome. Yeah,
got to get your Twinkie. But so when it comes to food, okay, so we're growing our own. We try to support local. We're gonna do what we can do. But like you were talking about, what about home repairs?
Yep.
Like a storm comes through and half of your roof gets ripped off, and Home Depot ain't getting restocked with shingles anymore.
You gonna make wooden shingles?
Right?
Any cedar?
I don't have any trees on my property.
I do. You want some?
Yeah. I mean, I do, actually. We've tried. This property doesn't grow anything. I'm so ready to get out of here. But the schools are really good.
I hear you.
So, yeah. So that's what's holding us down. But, as I say, great people, great neighborhood. I just not crazy about this property. I need my woodlands back. So anyway, yeah, you're going to have to learn to make it yourself. You break a rake handle, you're going to have to learn to make that yourself. And there's so many things that we just don't even think about. Like, we just go buy a new bottle of bleach. What about chemicals that you need for soap and cleaning and medications? Like, do you know how to get those chemicals so you can remake those products?
Well, I know people that make soap.
Right?
So I have to get on the ball and be able to trade with them.
Yeah. Yeah, and soap's one of the easier ones.
Yeah.
But like for cleaning big time, you go to the alcohol.
Or vinegar. Yeah, alcohol and vinegar.
Right? Because that's probably like one of your easiest makes right there.
Like a shot for cleaning and a shot for me. A shot for cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. So that was something I was thinking about. And then I'm into stocking things again for like food preparation without refrigeration.
Uh-huh.
So your salts, vinegars, because that was Dave the other night, Eventually, whatever you buy is going to go bad or run out, but you're still going to have to like preserve more. So that stuff's cheap. That's what you might as well have.
Right? Because you could get it. You can get cases of salt now.
Yeah.
Put it up, just keep it dry.
Exactly. And it's not going anywhere forever. So
otherwise, go find a salt quarry, I guess. I don't know.
And then like all the paper products that we use these days, all that's gone. I was just thinking about that while I was cleaning my new rifle the other day. So beautiful.
Did you use the boiling water method like Pa did?
Yeah, no.
No, you didn't.
Not at all. Boiling water is not touching that rifle. Hell
That's
no.
how you did it?
Yeah, no. But the little pads that you use to clean it,
Yeah. Well, that's like you'll be saving all your tore up clothes.
Yeah, you already use a bunch of like t-shirt, torn up t-shirt, so I don't have to use as many of those stupid pads. But they're good for getting in little areas and stuff. And
yeah.
so I was thinking about that, and I was like, oh. And then even the cleaner and the oil, you are going to have to go back to like an animal grease. Ugh, I know. I don't want that to touch my baby.
You shoot a deer and it smells like bacon.
Right?
Gunpowder and bacon in the morning.
Hey, maybe that's not such a bad thing. But yeah, it's definitely, so that was something I was thinking about. Because now I'm feeling pretty well prepared in some areas. And so now it's time to start thinking about like, okay, well, can you even store some of the basic chemicals that it takes to make some of the cleaning products and stuff? Like, is that dangerous? What does that entail? Because some of them are, some of them aren't. I know there was one when we were studying how to do gunpowder that was kind of volatile as far as storing it goes. And I can't remember because like
shit or something.
Yeah, sodium bicarbonate, I believe, goes into a lot of those products, but I could be totally wrong. That is my next avenue. That's where I'm headed in my preparedness journey, because I'm feeling pretty good on a lot of other areas.
So I always wanted to try reloading, but I never, I couldn't do it in a townhouse and the
fair enough
ground floor.
I've never done brass reloading.
Really had good. Yeah.
So
I have a whole bunch of it, but
shotgun shells, I reload them all day when I was a kid. Like my dad used to pay me to do it. Done. Yeah, because we shot trap all the time, and so you have like this little machine. You just pull the lever, it pops the primer out. You put a new primer in there. You put everything, get all the wad, all the powder, and all the shot ready. Plunk, it goes in. You crimp the top, and away you go. My grandpa had a really cool machine because it rotated it for you. You didn't have to like move the shell.
Yeah, like a multi-stage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that was super easy. We used to do tons of shotgun shells that way. But I've never done brass before, so I am interested in learning how to do that as well. That's true. That'd be another area. Because, I mean, if you could do that for people too, I mean, you'd be like really high value. The thing is... Right. Like, how do you store that much gunpowder legally?
Primers. I mean,
safely.
It's like you almost had to have been doing it for a while, so you're not making huge purchases all at once.
Yeah, because we'd buy a bag. You get like a big old bag of it. I think it was like 25 pounds at a time or something. And then, that would last you for a while. But when you're talking about like stocking up,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, now you're storing like tons of gunpowder somewhere. Yeah. And my friends got a hold of it one time. They got a hold of some raw gunpowder and thought it was really cool to shoot marbles out of a pipe in the yard.
Yeah.
And so they did like the super load on it. Yeah. And put a ton of marbles in there with like a ton of gunpowder. And my friend lit it and exploded in his face, like blew dirt into his eyeballs. Yeah. So luckily he didn't lose his sight, but they had to pick dirt out of his eyeballs. Yeah. Not good. So there are some like thoughts that go along with that one. And like I say, some of the products that go into cleaning products are also that way. That you have to like check the safety labeling and stuff of that. Really, really careful. How long will it take them to like eat through a container or that kind of thing? Because that would make your life a little bit worse, I'm thinking. But my husband's good at all that stuff. So, again, we come around to this modern lifestyle that we're just completely, it's made us so naive. If you think about just people, what they're really caring about these days, sports or Taylor Swift or any of these false gods that they want to worship, you know. And what's priority to most Americans? Our life is so manufactured and so cushy because of it. And it's not that I'm not grateful, because, you know, I thank God every day for each day that we have. But I also understand, like, we're so spoiled and so lucky and so honored to have what we have, that there's times like maybe you need to slow down a little bit and not worry about like what the next big thing is, and start worrying about like, what can I produce at home to kind of hedge off the amount of reliability that I have upon our corporate sponsors, basically. 'Cause that's really what it is, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's impossible for us to return to a simpler lifestyle. But I think it's going to have to be a cognitive change for some people to go like, yeah, I would rather plant an apple tree in my yard instead of an oak tree or something, you know. Why don't we have all the trees in cities, fruit trees and edible landscapes, so that nobody's hungry?
To have
Power.
Say have less is more, but it's like we had such a consumer-driven lifestyle where spending time, you know, in nature, or spending time just doing manual tasks around your house or property, it really adds to your life. I think it's not. I don't know. I just think the whole, like, Walmart crushed society because it made cheap things cheap.
And so much easier to just get and replace.
Yeah, yes. And people had, you know, they had a sofa, you know, like the whole like furnishings that were so cheap, but you looked like what you saw on TV, like the sets you saw on TV, but they were just fake. You know, and living room lasted a couple of years, and then you had to get more stuff because everything broke and it was beyond repair.
Well, I would say too, like coming back to more of the urban lifestyle, like I can relate to a little bit more to people who are like trapped in a city and they're like, oh, well, I can't go out on my property and do those things. Well, okay. You know, are there any like public spaces that could be utilized better? Are there any like vacant lots that could be utilized better? You know, that kind of thing. Most cities have them. And usually if you sign the right waivers, people don't mind you turning them into gardens and things like that. Would they even really know if you did, you know? And as far as it goes, like I was watching one of the shorts from Rogan's show the other day. And he had this guy on from Hawaii. And he's like, it's illegal to plant fruit trees, like in the city.
Yeah.
Like, what? That just doesn't make sense. And they were like, yeah. So they're bringing up the same thing that I'm talking about all the time. It's like, why do we not have edible landscapes in cities? And it's because money goes with food, goes with power. I mean, you can't have people just eating. Because we can't control them then. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the supply chains do need to get shut off for a little while for us to go back to a little bit simpler. But it's going to be, it's not something I'm praying for, because it's going to be a hard wall for us to hit and have to figure out like, maybe nationalizing and globalizing wasn't the best thing. It didn't benefit society. It benefited a select few. And those select few now don't want to let go of the control that they've gained But what's probably best for society is us to go back to more of a community production. So we're more self-reliant when things go awry. And I think that's going to be really important as we have more and more natural disasters, because then we have communities that can help support other communities. And then when all heck's breaking loose, at least they can have the foundation to be able to survive themselves without going, oh my gosh, where is the help coming from? We got to get agile. We got to quit blaming this climate change on us. Like, we have to get out of our own arrogance. Stop it. Just stop it. It is not our fault. I'm sure in a lot of ways we didn't help, but there is stuff going down on this planet right now that is going to happen. There's no solar power to fix it. There's nothing we can do to fix it. We're going to have to learn to adapt with it. And to do that, we need communities that are more self-reliant. But nobody wants to talk about it.
Well, it sounds like we talk about it a lot.
We do. Everybody just needs to listen to Changing Earth.
That's right.
For example, did you even hear about what happened in Acapulco?
A friend sent me a thing about it today.
A friend sent you a thing. So, like the news media, they hardly... My mom watches Fox News like all the time, right? And she's like, what happened? I'm like, yeah, Cat 5 just freaking wiped out Acapulco. And we're hearing nothing about it. Like, why? Because
I had one of my weather apps on my phone sent a thing about a tropical system or something. And that's all I knew.
Yeah.
But it's not like I got like tings going off about, from all the corporate news stations telling me about. Or tell me about the after effects.
Yeah, the only thing I can figure out is that it's in the wrong spot of the earth. Like, our powers be running the corporate government system. That's not like big enough, or that's not their area of interest right now. So we're just not even going to say anything about that. I couldn't figure it out for the life of me.
I don't know.
Because it is crazy. Okay, let's just go ahead and jump into
I recall getting a ping on it about
the tropical storm, Mexico. Right?
And then I looked to see where because I almost sent it to you because of maybe it was going to affect Texas, right?
Yeah.
But then
if it jumped across,
it didn't really seem. When I saw it, didn't seem very big,
right?
A big issue, so I never sent it to you.
Yeah.
And then a friend literally today, I got it. He sent me a story about it. I was like, well, crap, I didn't hear about it.
Less than 12 hours, that tropical storm just whips into Cat 5.
Yeah, 5, right?
Yeah, in less than 12 hours. It just smashes. The pictures, guys, go on Twitter and look for it. They have CNN even has a before and after. They have the articles, like the written stuff. If you want to go look for it, they do have the stories about it. But they are keeping the death count so quiet. Like they, for some reason,
like they did in Hawaii, right, with the fire.
Yes.
Same thing, right?
Yes.
I mean about the death count.
Yeah. Because they've been saying like the most I found is like 30 or something like that. There's no way. This place is destroyed. It is like Armageddon down there. It is destroyed. These people's lives are just done. And the mud in the streets is like half burying vehicles and stuff. So you can't tell me. And then there's this one lady who did an interview and she's like, I watched them pull 50. She talked to one of the rescuers. They pulled 50 bodies out of the water. And the official
30 death toll.
Yeah, exactly. And the official death toll total is only at 30 is what they're releasing on the media. I don't know what this is about. Why? I don't know. Okay, let's jump into Changing Earth News, and we're going to talk a whole bunch about that.
Play that music.
All right, Changing Earth news. So obviously, big topic for this week is the Cat 5 in Acapulco, Mexico. However, we also had this huge coronal hole pass by on the sun. It was massive. And all the way around it was plasma filaments. So we got so lucky this week, guys, because if any one of those would have unstabilized and just sloughed off, it would have been not good for planet Earth. So you can thank the Lord above that we are here on the air and enjoying power one more day on this planet, because that was, it was huge. I haven't seen anything like that. And it definitely stirred up the earthquake activity. There's also an Arctic blast that's expected to be hitting us, and we are in it. Like, I don't know what your temperature did, but ours dropped.
Tuesday it's supposed to hit us. Yeah. It's like 80s.
Yeah.
The past couple days it's the 80s, and then it's gonna drop on Tuesday.
Oh, ours did.
I think Monday night.
Ours did today. Yeah. We're at like 50 degrees out there, man. For Texas, that's cold. Like, we just had like 110 for months, you know? So you're talking like 70-degree difference. So, yeah, get ready for that. That's going to be a fun Halloween. Okay. October 23rd.
Everybody's going to dress as a lumberjack.
Yeah, right?
Eskimo.
I don't know. I will share this with you. I'm having a very difficult time with Halloween this year because it is Satan's holiday. And now that I've been much further down my road of really understanding the Bible, understanding God's writings, you don't see Satan worshipers come over and celebrate, Jesus's birth with us. So it just seems I'm just having a hard time with it this year because, I don't want to be worshiping false gods. And Halloween is just one of those holidays that it's not meant for anything that is the light. That's for sure. So, I don't know. Just personal sharing that. Yeah. You guys can go ahead and give me your thoughts on that. But that's just kind of where I'm at this year. Okay. October 23rd, 2023, 452 earthquakes. You can see that uptick in activity just immediately. 5.9 in the Philippine Sea by Okinawa, Japan was our biggest one. We had a 4.0 earthquake near Isleton in Sacramento, California. We had a 5.3 hit Nepal. 3.9 hit Bulgaria. And Storm Babel that I was talking about last week that was messing with the UK. It just did not want to give up. It hung out over the UK for days and brought down a ton of rain and flooded the place pretty darn good. So they are immersed in flood cleanup, pun fully intended. Okay, on October 24th of 2023, there was 412 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.4 in Gansu, China. On the 24th is when they began tracking Tropical Storm Otis. And, they expected it. Maybe it was going to ramp up into a hurricane, but it wasn't. They weren't talking a whole lot about Otis. It was Tammy or whatever that had just come through. And Luna, something with an L. The two that had just come through. So, but there was also a tropical cyclone that was a category 5 that was moving in on Vanuatu that day. So lots of eyes go. I mean, we had some really intense activity going on our planet. And then we had cyclones Hamoon and Tej. They were both aiming up to hit on Andhra Pradesh over in India. So we had Tropical Storm Otis. We had the tropical cyclone that was coming in on Vanuatu. And 2 more coming in on India all one day on planet Earth. Those are some big ass storms all going on. Then we had the super dense fog in Louisiana that caused a 72 plus car pileup on I-55 outside of New Orleans. 7 people unfortunately lost their life in that accident because of that fog. There was another 2.9 in Sacramento. And there was also a bunch of earthquakes that started going off in Washington at like the same time, a 3.1. That area has all been very, very active. So hopefully with this coronal hole turning out of earth facingness will settle down. But typically volcanoes start going after we have that much intense earthquake activity. And we were in a slight solar storm today as well from some of the, just energy coming off of that hole and those filaments. On the 25th, there was 439 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.2 in the South Atlantic Ocean near the
South Sandwich Islands.
Yes, sir. South Sandwich Islands coming back on the screen. No tsunamis or anything. Everything was fine from that. There was also a 2.6 in Berkeley. There was a 4.5 in Gindavik, Iceland, and a 4.5 in Xinjiang, China. So the 4.5 in Iceland is just the tip of the iceberg. Pun again, I guess, and that pun was not intended. For Iceland, over the next couple of days, they had over 3,000 earthquakes. They are known for earthquake swarms. Of course, there's a lot of volcanic activity up on Iceland, and that's not a big deal. But some of them have been very big, doing a lot of damage, and they are very concerned about the amount of magma that's on the move in the area right now. Yemen was hit by the cyclone Tej. It dumped 400 millimeters of rain on them. Thousands were displaced by it hitting. And of course, Hurricane Otis hit Mexico as a Cat 5. It went from a tropical storm to a Cat 5 within 12 hours, brought in 165 mile an hour wind. And guys, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen the pictures of Acapulco, go look at it. It is like the glass buildings, they have no roofs left on them. The glass is gone, destroyed. All the fascias, of these huge buildings all looking out at the ocean, all the glass is destroyed. It just came in. The mud came in so thick into people's homes. They really, really, really need our prayers. And if you have the ways to be able to send aid or support them at all, because nobody's talking about it, they're pretty much just hung out to dry. The world's not even looking at them, and they just got devastated. Then Vanuatu was also hit by Lola, the tropical storm or cyclone Lola. It came in at 300 kilometer per hour winds, took down power, took down communications. So they also got pretty leveled by that storm coming in. On the 26th of October, there was 477 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 6.1 in the Banda Sea. There was a 4.3 earthquake in Afghanistan. Again, I mean, they just can't get a break over there. So they're bracing for more earthquakes over there in Afghanistan. Acapulco, Mexico, they had 27 plus dead then. We already did the conversation on that. I don't know why they're underreporting that, but it just doesn't make sense. But Turkmenistan was hit by its 5th dust storm in October. They've been having some bad problems with that over there. Bangladesh, 2 people died. 275,000 people were in shelters after they got hit by the big storm. Lola continued past Vanuatu en route to New Zealand, did a whole bunch of damage down there. And the hail in Nebraska took down about a couple dozen birds there. So they had a big issue with the hail taking out the bird population, which the hail, it's just coming out of nowhere. really wasn't on my radar when I wrote my book series. And yeah, I'll definitely have to put that in the TV series. October 27th of 2023, there was 450 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in the South Pacific Ocean near Tonga. A 6.4 hit southern Turkey. This is the same area that got annihilated by earthquakes not too long ago. They got hit by a 6.4 in Turkey. The Iceland quakes were continuing, and a 5.4 hit Chile. There was flash flooding in Austin, and there was a little tornado that touched down right outside of San Antonio, did some damage down there. So the flood warnings went out for northern Texas on the 27th. 28th, there was 398 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in the Celeb Sea near Indonesia. And then there has been flash flooding and all kinds of rain falling across northern Texas, 80-mile-an-hour winds down south. 2 people have been killed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area because of flooding. A 2.9 earthquake hit San Jose, and a 3.9 earthquake hit San Francisco Airport on the 28th. So their activity over there has not calmed down. And if you remember, it was quiet. It's been quiet on the West Coast for too long. So I'm happy to see these little quakes that release pressure, because the longer we see it quiet with stuff happening on the other side, major stuff happening on the other side of the Ring of Fire, it really upticks the concern for a big earthquake to happen on the West Coast. And since we're seeing all this minor activity, that's actually a good thing because it's slowly releasing pressure. So we'll just hope that that kind of continues. They've been doing a big story on the Long Valley Caldera, which is below Mammoth. It's outside of LA to the east of LA, basically on the California-Nevada border. And it would pretty much bury LA under like 3,000 feet of lava or something if the super volcano actually erupted. And so they've been doing a big story on it because it's been having some activity. The conclusion that they reached is that it's not going to erupt. It's cooling and releasing gases, and that's why it's causing these earthquakes. So I don't know. There's a lot of different predictions from Nostradamus and whatnot on the LA area. So it's just something I always keep my eye on for sure. In Kedah, Malaysia, there was a mini tornado that came on shore, took out 10 homes there. And there was 4 killed in Ukraine from severe storms. On the 29th of October, there was 386 earthquakes that are 2.0 or bigger. That is today, folks. 6.0 in the Coral Sea by Vanuatu was our biggest of the day. In Acapulco, they did increase the death count to 39, but it's still really unclear. They're still going through a lot of mud and muck and trying to unbury the city and get it sorted out. There was the 6.0 in the Coral Sea was also reported as a 6.3. There was another San Francisco earthquake, came in at a 3.7, and there was a 2.9 that also came out of the South Bay area. As far as volcanoes erupting, we have 29 actively erupting. We went back up 1. That is into the very high category. Most I've ever seen is 30. So that does kick us up into that. I mean, it's been up there for a while. With only 10 showing minor activity, which is very curious. That is the lowest number that I've ever seen on the minor activity. So it is curious about that, but that's exactly the same as they had it at last week. And then we have 39 volcanoes showing unrest. That's up 2 from last week. So we actually added 3 volcanoes to our list this week. And Campe Flegrei in Italy is still on the list. That is the super volcano over there that was making noise. And Mount Pelee, I always look at Mount Pelee and Vesuvius because a prophet, Edgar Casey, had kind of put those two out as a warning signal for the western part of the United States. So Pele is still on there. Obviously, Vesuvius isn't. As far as wildfire activity in the United States, we have 122,231 acres on fire. That was a lot of twos. From 11 fires, one of those is contained. That is halved from last week. So you can see that the rain and everything's been really having its effect on our wildfire activity. Number one state is still California with 98,153 acres on fire from 3 active fires. One of those is contained. Arizona is number 2 on the list with 11,233 acres on fire. That's from 1 fire. And Texas is actually number 3 on the list with 10,559 acres on fire from 1 fire. I'm going to assume that's not going to be there next week because, man, anything that can keep burning in the rain that we're getting right now, props. And then number 4 on the list is Colorado, 1,549 acres on fire. And that's actually coming from 3 fires. So they'll get that under control pretty quick. So there we go. Changing Earth news. Acapulco.
Boom.
Whew. I mean, and then, like I say, on the same day, we had... It had to be due. This coronal hole was just insane. We're going to hit with all of this energy from the sun. And then, so we had, like I say, Otis hitting, Lola hitting, Tej hitting, Haman hitting, all at the same time. And they were all like Cat 5s. That's wow. I don't think that, that's like human caused. That is the planet going into its next cycle. We're going to see these severe storms, guys. It's not because we're driving around in cars. One volcano could do as much, obviously I love our planet. I don't want to pollute it either. But one volcano could overdo the amount of carbon emissions that we've done by, and the carbon emission joke, really look that up, guys, and do your research there. It's not a very accurate thing. So it's just power. So it's part 2 of Changing Earth audio drama. All the way up now. So you can download and listen to 1 to 8 now. If you haven't listened to the first part, man, this season is just some great artists. Thank goodness that they put up music that's Creative Commons, can actually be used by, creatives that don't have access to budgets to buy music rights and stuff. Found some phenomenal tunes. Thanks for 5 Times August for sure. For just giving me access to his music to be able to ramp that end of things up. If they turn out really cool. And then we're going to be doing the blooper episode coming up again because I got great. So each block will have its own blooper episode. So we'll have to do that show again soon as well. Everybody seemed to really like the bloopers. And whenever I need a good laugh, I just go through the bloopers as well. But so we'll be doing that. And then we got the Changing Earth merchandise up. So, nothing says Merry Christmas like a Changing Earth sweatshirt. I'm just saying. And I also have the shirt up that's knees, not nuts.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Nothing says Christmas.
Yeah, like knees, not nuts. Hey, you eat nuts at Christmas time.
Nutcracker sweet. It's like a tradition, isn't it?
Right? Exactly. Knees, not nuts. And for all of you who don't understand the relevance of that, when I'm
go to class.
Yeah, you need to go to class. But when I'm teaching self-defense, everybody always asks me, do I hit them in the nuts? And I always say, knees, not nuts. And so now we have the t-shirt up there. So you can go buy that. Just go over to my website. It links you straight across to where you need to go and everything. So website is changingearthseries.com. Of course, you can find all the merchandise there, the audio drama, this podcast that you're hearing, all the novels, the survival guide, all of my learning materials and all that. So you can just get lost for days. changingearthseries.com. Alrighty. Well, we're going to roll on out of here. I'm going to go enjoy the rain. That means I'm going to sit on my couch with my blankie and look out the window.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's about my extent of it. I got all my chores taken care of this morning. Got my rifle cleaned yesterday. So I'm good. I love my new rifle. I'm just saying. Like,
I didn't know.
I'm just adding that in there to the end of the show. Alrighty, guys. So until next week, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.